It's a bright day in the Centura tribe. Llyod is deep in thought. Javier asks what he is doing. Llyod replies that he is waiting for the first target of his big plan. From the front, suddenly, a cocky-looking Centura appears, smiling to himself. Llyod sees this as a perfect opportunity. He deliberately goes in the way of the Centura and collides with him. Llyod then looks back and makes a cocky face. The Centura calls Llyod an a-hole and tells Llyod to come and race with him, declaring that if Llyod loses, he is going to kick him 300 times with his rear legs. Llyod feigns innocence and asks how a mere human like him can race against a Centura. But the Centura insists that it is a tradition that cannot be refused, and they are racing right away. Llyod pretends to be sad but then smiles internally because this was part of his plan. The Centura asks Llyod to pick the finish line, and Llyod points to a tree far away. Cheranin, observing, wonders what Llyod is doing. In a flashback, we see Llyod explaining to Cheranin that before gathering all the Centaurus in one spot, he has to prepare something that will act as a catalyst for their victory. The cocky Centura taunts Llyod, saying he has heard that Llyod is the light-speed human who flies with magic. But in this race, Llyod will have to use his legs. Llyod argues that he only has 2 legs while the Centura has 4, making it unfair. The Centura smugly replies that Llyod can ride something with 4 legs if he wants, boasting that Centuras are the fastest among all 4-legged creatures. Llyod then brings out his pet, Bebiong. The Centura objects, saying the animal is too big. Llyod pretends to be worried but insists on following the tradition. The race begins, with both Llyod and the Centura running neck and neck, cheered on by the crowd. Suddenly, Llyod's pet collides with the Centura, causing the Centura to fly in one direction while Llyod gets thrown in another, colliding with a baby Centura. The race ends in a draw, surprising both Javier and Cheranin. Javier wonders to himself if Llyod was trying to achieve something by winning and if Llyod failed this time. That night, the baby Centura is trembling, and his mother is worried, cursing the sick tradition that caused her child to suffer. The father insists that they should not speak against their traditions, as this is how they grow up. The mother shouts that her child is trembling not just from physical pain but also from trauma. The father says, nothing can be done about it. Llyod, observing the scene, smiles to himself, knowing his plan is working. The next day, Cheranin gathers everyone for Llyod's lecture titled, "Will all of your speed be alright at this rate?" People are gossiping, expressing their disinterest, and some are skeptical of Llyod's credibility. Llyod begins by acknowledging their thoughts but then calls them thoughtless rampaging lunatics, shocking the crowd. He criticizes their tradition, pointing out the injuries and destruction it has caused, and mentions the trauma experienced by the child in yesterday's race. The mother of the baby Centura listens, visibly affected. One crowd member argues that they must bear with the tradition, but the mother shouts that she is not fine with it, calling everyone barbaric idiots. The crowd reacts angrily, shouting to exile her. The father of the baby Centura then supports his wife, admitting that they are indeed barbaric and questioning how everyone can be okay with it. Another Centura, with her baby, joins in, revealing that her son's arm was broken in the last race. The crowd begins to protest against the tradition. Llyod smiles, giving a thumbs up to the baby Centura, who returns the gesture. Javier watches, utterly confused. In a flashback, we see Llyod teaming up with the baby Centura, offering a bribe for a little acting to spark this revolution. Llyod concludes with a smile, stating, "This is what a war of public opinion looks like."